I'm here with my friend Nick Hubert here at Panoramic Capital Partners in Lake Oswego. And I know I mentioned that because you're passionate about downtown Portland, and you'll get there.
That's right.
So we know each other through a bunch of community things. Humans for Housing, you volunteered at We All Have a Name. You're about to launch this cool thing for Praxis, Portland Praxis, which is around entrepreneurship and purpose. What is and then you introduced your mom to me 2 years ago, who was a while ago COO at the Blazers, and we started this thing collectively together called Rip City Forever, which was like the early organization that is now, what is Jim Etzel running? We Are Rip City.
We Are Rip City.
Yeah, and
awesome.
they're doing a great job with that. Yeah. And it seems like there's some positive news, like the Blazers may stick around for a while, so that's good. Okay, so you also employ my daughter and mentor her, and so that's been a really cool journey, and she loves it here. So that's a huge kudo for you to create an environment for her. But I want to know why how did you first get into being passionate about finance? Because that is not a normal thing for most people to get passionate about finance.
We've got a spider web of how we know each other. When I was in high school, well, actually, my parents, and they were both in business in Portland. And growing up, they did a really good job of integrating us into their life. So it wasn't like they'd go do their stuff in the community and then leave us at home and with a babysitter. It was like, hey, we've got a Blazers community event. Just come to it. And so part of it was just growing up, seeing the impact that business can have on local community here in Portland, and thinking that seems cool. You don't know as a kid, but it seemed cool. And then as I grew up, I liked the harder science side of things, and my brain just went that direction. And so when I thought, what's the harder science part of business? I was like, oh, it's finance and numbers and this language of business that expresses that way. And so took that into university, and there was this investment group that you call a finance frat, which it wasn't, but down at University of Oregon, and that gave this incredible opportunity to get really good experience really early on. And that just took the spark, so to speak, and kind of flamed it into something that could turn into a cool career.
I think your mom would describe you as coming out of the womb as Alex P. Keaton with the briefcase. But anyway,
I'm not that nerdy.
Debatable. Anyway, so college, then you're like, I'm going to become an investment banker in New York. You go there, and then what happens when you're there?
Went out to New York City to do investment banking, spent a summer. Normally the way it works out there is they hire a bunch of kids for the summer, hire 100 kids, give them the work of a full-time person, and then take the 50 that kind of cut it. And so did that work that summer, got the job to go do the work after school, and had a kind of crazy medical eye failure, so to speak, that is an undiagnosable, uncurable eye condition that ultimately pivoted that not being a life path that made sense, because of, at the time, the idea was, if I'm going to risk my physical health for a career, that doesn't make sense.
Because stress makes it worse.
That was the theory at the time. Now it's 15 years later, we don't necessarily know that, but at the time that's what we knew, and so I had to say no to it.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, so that brought you back to Oregon.
And it took me to Seattle first, because, for me, I was like, oh, if I'm going to try to go to Wall Street, I can't come back to Portland. Even though I'm a fifth-generation Oregonian and fourth-generation Portlander, and I love this place dearly, I needed that time to find a mission, a calling and desire to be here, to have it be a place that I could be a part of building, as opposed to just going back to where my parents did something, So I spent a while in Seattle, and then ultimately, the more time I kept spending time down here, just fell in love with the beauty and uniqueness of what the city has, and saw so much of the best way to honor what my parents did for me in creating a great life was coming back to how do you take that baton and keep pouring into a place that gave me such a great life growing up.
Cool.
And that became important.
And so you worked with Andrew at Morgan Stanley, and then one of your best buddies who was in private equity. You three of you just a couple of years ago started Panoramic.
Yeah, totally. Yep. So there's 3 co-founders. 2 of us were in the kind of traditional wealth space, and then Taylor was private equity and had been CFO of a couple companies, and that kind of unique swirling of backgrounds gave us this perspective of like, what would it look like to build a wealth firm for entrepreneurs that's different and puts the entrepreneur at the center and can work with them on their whole journey, not just once they've already made money, but early on when they're trying to build a valuable business. And with Taylor's background and our background, we could kind of jam it all together and try to do it differently than folks have in the marketplace to this point.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's touch on a community thing. You're launching this thing called Praxis. I was just volunteering at We All Have a Name at City Team with Lance this morning, and the twins, Joshua and Jacob, who their sobriety date is just like 4 months ago, but they're our group leads for volunteering. They've also come from the streets, and they're very entrepreneurial. And so you're one of the pieces that you want to do in Praxis. It's kind of like a purpose-driven founder support group, but also to have a community component to like mentor folks like the twins to launch whatever business that they might have.
Yeah, Praxis is like this global accelerator organization that has these tools that we can pull in. And so the hope is to pull those tools in. But I think something different is this idea of like, the insight for me came with, I was looking at a client who literally grew up on dirt floors. And now they're like 3rd generation wealth, hundreds of employees, tens of millions of dollars of profit, like community impact, all that. And I'm just like, there's so much you can do by taking that entrepreneurial risk. And when you're comfortable, it's hard to want to convince somebody to go take that risk. And so it's like talking to Lance at City Team and this idea of like, what would it look like to take people who are trying to reintegrate a new life and are willing to take the risk, because it's not like they're not walking away from a big job at Nike. It's big opportunity. And to think, how can we help them change their life with this toolkit of helping to build companies better and maybe some funding and like these different things, but how do we get people to help start to contribute to building the city and actually building companies that then they can go and employ somebody and pass it along? Like, that's a really, to me, inspiring and provocative idea that's worth pursuing.
Yeah, and so now that's a segue. You're sponsoring the Rebuilding Wealth Summit. You and my daughter Grace came and spoke to our Script Founders small group, and what I thought was really cool about that is 2 things. One, a bunch of things I didn't know about valuation drivers outside of profit or EBITDA to massively increase the value of your company with a whole framework that you presented. The second thing that a lot of there's 8 founders in our group, and a lot of them came to me is like, we kind of had a living example with Grace and me in the room for them to ask questions to Grace about, okay, so Ryan, you're 3rd or 4th generation of wealth being passed down from a lot of it from entrepreneurship. And so Grace, as the 5th generation of that, how do you keep the work ethic? Like, why not just sit back and coast? And so that was kind of cool just to like have that conversation, and a lot of like really insightful questions and that stuff. So I thought that was cool. But why support this summit and Script Founders, and like what's the personal kind of passion behind that?
I mean, I think it's 3 things. I think one is what I just mentioned of like seeing what is possible when somebody takes the entrepreneurial risk. And it's not for everybody, and it's not easy, and it might fail a couple times before you hit it, but like the life and community changing aspect is, I want everybody to have that opportunity, because for me, I look at my life and I'm like, I had to work to seize the opportunity, but I just kind of was born into that opportunity being available to me. And that's not the case for everybody. And so part of it is like, how do you create that opportunity for anybody to be a builder in that sense? And then I think in addition to that, it's, okay, how do you do that in Portland? And you guys are modeling this so well of doing this locally in Portland and Oregon, and it's creating that opportunity for folks, and it's doing it locally. And so those are the 2 big pieces of my life that I care a lot about, of like, how do I invest in this place for the next 6 decades? Hopefully 6 decades, get into the 90s, and how do we do that through business and creating that opportunity for everybody who it might not be as easy for?
Yeah.
And I think the combination of all that is why it's so inspiring to me, the work you guys are doing, because the opportunity is huge and everybody should have an ability to seize that opportunity.
Yeah. As we're talking about it, I think the audience is probably looking at us like, oh man, these guys like came from, it's like been easy.
Yep.
What has been one of the biggest challenges when that moment when you left Morgan Stanley and you're going to put out your own shingle, or like, other than you described a hard moment where you thought you may go blind or what have you, like, entrepreneurship is really hard, even when you do come from means. What's one of those hardest moments?
Oh man, I think it was like the day that we actually launched this place, because I remember I sent a text to a friend of like Jack Sparrow jumping off the diving board, like the little GIF, in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and like, here we go. Because it's like, we signed the lease for this place, we've hired people, like we're stewarding the lives of the employees that we're hiring to come with us. Like, there's a financial impact of all that, but it's people are saying yes to being a part of what we're building. And
it's a point of no return.
Yes, I'm like, maybe I think there's that element to it, but I think I weigh more on the idea of like, people are deciding to take a bet on us, being our employees and the clients that want to come with us to start this place with us. And I want to be a good steward of their decision to say yes to be a part of this journey with us, whether it's your daughter or Catherine, who came with us from the very beginning. Like,
I'm also a client too.
But like, it weighs heavily, right? I mean, there's plenty of places who have been around for 30 plus years, and so it means a lot when a person decides, we're going to trust you either with our money or with my career. Like, I steward that, really feel that a lot, and that came home heavy on the first day. Well,
thanks for sharing, man. Appreciate you.
Love it, man.
Thanks for
Appreciate
sponsoring
you
too.